Just do this tomorrow. What? I'm so tired. Let's push it to the next week. Namaskar. I'm sure we all have used these sentences throughout our lives, and without realizing, they have manifested into a procrastinating habit that leads us to push everything onto the next week. And today, we're going to delve into this topic and understand why it becomes such a harmful situation or a habit in our lives until we actually realize it. Today we have with us Additional Head Department Psychology, IIS deemed to be University, Dr. Sankul Sethia, to help us understand and grasp the concept of procrastination better. So without any further ado, let's get started. Namaskar ma'am, thank you so much for taking out time and being here with us. How have you been?
Thank you for having me here. I've been doing great. How about you?
I am perfect. Alright, so ma'am, I just want to start with this basic question. Like, we understand in the layman terms of what procrastination is, but according to you, like in the more definite terms, what is procrastination?
So basically, I believe that procrastination is often misunderstood as being lazy or taking a break. But actually it is different from the other two, because procrastination is willingly pushing something forward or willingly delaying a task or a responsibility or something that you're required to do, despite of knowing the negative consequences it can have. Whilst we might say laziness, as the layman term is, it comes from a lack of willingness. But procrastination's major root is that you are willing to do something, but somehow you're not going at it.
Okay, so like from what I could understand, while we know that we have to attain to a certain task and fulfill that duty, we still push it forward.
Yeah.
And that is, I think, one of the reasons that most of us assume that is going to impact our professional life, but it also has a very hampering effect on our personal life.
Absolutely true.
So what is your take on that? Like, how does it manifest gradually into all areas of our life?
So basically, see, if you talk about procrastination affecting your lives, then I believe it affects almost every major area of your life, be it your studies, be it your relationships, be it your work life. Because see, when you push down things, so it can lead to poorer grades, as we can see in academics. Despite of that, the most profound impact that I would like to talk about would be in personal relationships, because nowadays what happens, we have been seeing a trend that people have a tendency of procrastinating the needs of the partner, the needs of the people around them. So what happens is, you are too late to address the conflict, to the point that it is now on the verge of breaking or relationship dissatisfaction. Apart from that, you can see procrastination is not always making the person laid back. Sometimes it can make the person impulsive also. Why? Because you have pushed it enough, now you are on the verge of a breakdown yourself, and now you can do anything reckless to make ends meet.
Yeah, so now this is a new take, that person becomes impulsive, which is totally right. I believe that certain things become so piled up on our head, and that kind of bursts the dam open and things flow out and they are out of our control. So how do you think this also leads to other things that kind of develop along with it, that kind of hampers our performance, our overall lifestyle? Along with procrastination, what are the other things that could happen along the way?
So basically, along with procrastination, lack of self-confidence can happen. Okay, why? Because you have been pushing things for so long that now you start doubting yourself whether I'll be able to do it at all or not. Apart from that, since you have procrastinated things, now you're at the verge of missing a deadline, or let's say you now know that the capability you had, you cannot produce a work that is up to the mark. So now you have a fear of judgment. Okay, then like I said previously, it can hamper your interpersonal relations. Maybe The people who trusted you initially are not trusting you that much, and that is also putting you into the spotlight that, you know, she's not doing the work she used to do, or, you know, now she's not as good as she was. Apart from that, you know, sometimes it can develop into feelings of lacking in self-adequacy, or, you know, misjudging yourself as not being adequate for anybody, and eventually it can all pile up into negative emotional states, and as we say, sometimes it can lead to anxiety or feelings of depression or helplessness, that my life is totally out of control, I cannot manage anything.
So, ma'am, do you believe that especially since after COVID, when this culture of streaming platforms and social media has kind of taken over, especially our generation, does this also kind of has impacted the way we have started viewing procrastination, and has kind of made it, you know, so casual that it's okay if it's happening until it takes a very serious form in the life?
I'll tell you a little bit about, you know, how procrastination rises up in us, and then I'll let you know about the question you said, because they are interrelated, of course. So see, procrastination, where does it stem from? It can stem from various sources. Okay. One I would see very commonly in today's generation is a sense of perfectionism. कि क्योंकि मुझे इतना अच्छा करना है कि मैं अभी कर ही नहीं रही, I'll do it later. ठीक है, today I have only 2 hours spare for myself, so rather than investing those 2 hours in this, I'll try to free 7 hours of my schedule and then sit with it. So the work is gone now. Another thing, another concept that I would like to tell you is instant gratification. Okay, there are certain things that give you a pleasure or a sense of fulfillment or achievement instantly right after you do it. But then there are some things which require time, investment, like your degree program. It requires 3 years to be, you know, manifested into a degree or into something that can provide you with a job. So now the social media that you're talking about is essentially related to the principle of instant gratification. So rather than, you know, putting the half an hour or 1 hour I have into a long-term investment, I would like to watch reels and feel happy immediately. Okay, so that's another thing that is pulling me to procrastination. Secondly, with COVID's onset, mental health was prioritized, which is a very good thing, but it was prioritized too much without the accurate awareness that should be about it, and thereby we have lost the difference between beating ourselves up and being unproductive. So that's another reason why it is so casual these days to procrastinate, you know. Yeah.
So, considering just what you pointed out, that it has kind of you know, taken a casual note in our lives, that even if we are pushing things and if we are pushing deadlines, it's no big deal until and unless it does not pile up to a certain level, which kind of, you know, leads to a breakdown. But at the end of the day, what do you think are, like, if somebody has reached to a very saturated level in their life and they've procrastinated to a certain amount where it has become too serious situation for them, what do you think is the rightful steps or the right direction where they should start, because now the problem has taken a very serious turn?
See, basically all of us, even the ones who will be watching this or listening to this, we all want quick solutions.
I agree.
So if I would have to be providing you with a step-by-step manual, I would suggest that you start with following a routine first of all. Setting up a routine gives your brain constant cues after certain times. So if you have a routine set for yourself, let's say that at 10:30 I am required to do this and this. So at 10:30 you will be automatically reminded of doing that thing. Okay, so if you have a routine and if you could inculcate a bit of discipline and fall into it, then that would be a very good way to get rid of all the piled up things that you have in your hand. Time management is something very important to deal with procrastination, and of course the habit of procrastinating that you have developed over years or months cannot be, you know, gotten rid of in 2 days, of course, but that's what I said, discipline. So you need to have time management, you need to have discipline, you need to follow a routine, so that all of these combinedly fall into what we call as habits.
Okay, so there are 2 things that I'll pick up from here. Firstly, habits. What do you think are the habits that kind of discourage and encourage procrastination, that we knowingly and unknowingly kind of inculcate in our daily schedules? And the second thing that I would want you to touch upon is time management, because it's such a complex term to hear, and we hear it often from every source. But at the end of the day, when we kind of think and sit about and what is it, how to actually implement it in our lives, it kind of becomes a complex concept. So I would want you to break down that as well.
So see, the factors that encourage procrastination, like I told you, first of all is instant gratification, that yeah, I'll do it 15 minutes later, okay. Or it can be, see, it can be personal also, that currently you're feeling very exhausted or burnt out, that taking out another hour is very difficult and I want to sit and have a cup of tea and I don't want to do anything. Okay, so all these things are basically, you know, getting rid of the momentary exhaustion or the momentary feeling of being tired. But later on, if you realize that this momentary habit or this momentary satisfaction is going to get you in a pit of exhaustion where it could last for days or weeks. And like I told you, ki procrastination is not about not doing your homework today, or it is not about making a PPT today. It can be about, you know, addressing an issue which requires your immediate attention. In like baad mein kar lenge. Let's say you have someone seriously upset with you, and you are avoiding the talk. Ki haan kar lenge, thode dinon mein it will be all right. That is procrastinating even. Okay, and it could result in you losing a very good friend. Okay, so the factors that are encouraging procrastination are basically sometimes avoiding negative emotional states, that you don't want to address them. Sometimes it is the fear of failure or the fear of being judged, that if I do it this way, will it be okay? I should ask 5 more people and then do it, and then you waste your time. Okay, sometimes it can be perfection, like I told you, that it has to be perfect so I don't start only. Okay, sometimes it can be a lack of guidance about the important topic or the topic in hand, but you know, nothing is unbeatable. So the factors that can discourage procrastination from my side would be, again, that you have a routine to follow, or else you have that faith in yourself that even if you're not perfect, you're gonna give it a try. So believing in yourself can bring you out of procrastinating, plus getting yourself making yourself understand that, you know, instant gratification is only instant.
Yes? I totally agree to that,
because 15 minutes spent on Instagram are actually 1.5 hours. Okay, you don't realize that. So that would be one thing. One biggest thing would be self-control that can pull you out of this cycle. Because yes, it is a vicious cycle that goes on. You procrastinate, you miss a deadline, now you're scared, so you procrastinate. Okay, so this is how it goes.
Okay, so again, I believe that I agree that having a routine kind of solves a lot of problem, but having a routine also is a task. If somebody has reached to a very serious and stagnant point in their life where, as you mentioned, are stuck in this cycle, where they are just on the loop doing this again and again, so it will be a very difficult task for them to build a very strong routine. So where they should start?
So basically, like we talked about, time management or having a routine. So at some point you need to break it down, right? So the first step can be analyzing your schedule every day, okay, and be very fair about it. Very important. Be very honest about it and admit when you are wasting time. Okay, lots of us do know that we waste time, but what we do is कि नहीं थोड़ा तो मेरे लिए भी time होना चाहिए ना. So when you are analyzing, analyze everything. Okay, and then you can plan 24 hours of your day. You can keep 8 hours aside for sleeping. Okay, and then you plan your day and you see where are you spending extra time and how to reduce it, and where do you require more time and allotting that time. Also, if you feel like you said, somebody is at the peak of exhaustion or burnout because of procrastination or because a lot has piled up, so in certain cases you might even go for help from a trained professional, such as a counseling session or guidance. Okay, counseling would not mean that you have a mental problem now, but it would just mean that you are taking help from a person who knows more than you or who can guide you better with that topic.
I totally agree to that. I mean, it's okay to take help when needed.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So I'd like to juggle this down to one last question, that if procrastination was one big problem and we had to create a superhero to fight it, what do you think are going to be the biggest qualities that superhero is going to have?
Okay, so my superhero to fight procrastination would be called the superhero of productivity. Okay, yeah. And the superpowers the superhero would be, first of all, empathy. That the superhero knows that the procrastinator is not a bad person. It is just a person stuck in a bad situation. Okay, and we need to pull him out. That's all. So we don't need to be harsh on ourselves also, for that matter. Plus, my superhero would also have a superpower of inculcating motivation into people. Okay, when you feel motivated from inside that I now need to get out of this cycle, so there is nothing stopping you. Okay, apart from that, I would also like my superhero should have the power to make people have more focus, have more concentration, have more sustained attention, so that they do realize that I've sat 1 hour on this project. If I sit for half an hour more, it would be done. So that's the better thing to do, rather than putting it aside for now and then coming back to it after 7 days with no clue at all of what I did. Yeah.
So, okay. I mean, I think to just sum this all up, it's not as big of a problem as we make it, and with the right few corrective steps, we could just solve this entirely for us.
Few corrective steps, plus you also need to be aware of what it gets you into. You need to be aware of the consequences, because a lot of time, even if you ask a few of your classmates or people your age, what do you think procrastination is? Ask them for a few examples and they'll not tell you anything besides academics or work. But procrastination, like I said, is something you do in your daily life with your near ones, and it affects you in every aspect. So once you start looking at from that perspective, you will be more aware of how damaging it is.
And I think the fact that this conversation has made me realize it, that while we stress upon procrastination, creating a harmful effect on our professional lives, it creates a much bigger hampering effect on our personal lives.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So thank you so much, ma'am, for joining us for this conversation. It has been a delightful experience and I have learned a lot. I'm sure our viewers are also going to take a lot of valuable information out of it. And thank you for us to not procrastinate this conversation.
Absolutely. No, without further ado, let's do another podcast.
Sure.
Okay,
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you to all our viewers for joining us for this podcast. And now you guys do not procrastinate and go subscribe, like and comment on our channel. I'll see you next time with another episode. Till then, stay tuned on IISU podcast. Bye-bye. Stay happy. I'll see you.